being misdiagnosed or not diagnosed at all. Like I told you in the last video, I was about 19 when it came on set. I was 45 maybe. I was in my late 40s, middle to late 40s, 45, 46, something like that, before I was diagnosed bipolar. For years, I stopped the drinking because it scared me, and I started just being obsessed with church, and I just poured myself into church, and I was obsessed with church, and I would go, and it would feel better for a while, and then the feelings would always come back, and so it didn't cure it, no. It helped, but, So, but, I didn't want to tell anyone that I felt suicidal a lot, because that was embarrassing, in my 30s. I was going to church. I had kids. I had my daughter when I was 31. I had a daughter. And, it's just not something I discussed with anybody. Nobody knew that. I wanted to die a lot of the times. I felt like, why would my life not change? Why were my feelings, why was I so all over the place? And it's not like, okay, one myth about bipolar disorder is your mood just change all the time. It's not like that. It's like, it's more of a long term, like, okay, your manic episode could last a week or longer, or it could be, shorter. And you can have hypomania, which is I have definitions of these things I'll go into here in just a sec. But, and then usually the mania is followed by a crash and a depression, where you just don't want to get out of bed, you don't want to go to work. Common thing that people do is miss a lot of work and change jobs a lot, which I did. I was always walking out of my jobs. Another thing is that it's not like, oh God, I'm Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You do have anger. The one common thing is that mania is not always good. It can be anger and frustration, and then it can be just like rage, and you don't even know why you're raging. I've done that. And sometimes mania feels really great at first. And then when you get into being up for 5 days, you start hallucinating, and it goes south really fast. You wind up in the hospital on friggin' 10,000 drugs, and you still can't sleep, and you talk, and like you just have slobber coming out of your mouth. You just talk so fast. I talk fast, and I'm ADD as well, so it's kind of a double-edged sword for me, being bipolar and ADD. People tell me all the time, you talk too much, shut up. But, I stay home a lot because I am, on disability, so, when I see people, I do tend to talk more, and I interrupt people a lot, which is very irritating. I change the subject on people, things that I still just can't, get it. It's not like it's horribly bad, but you overanalyze everything. Your brain does not shut off. It's like 1 minute, okay, I think this guy's cool. I can trust him. This is no lie. I'm thinking, yeah, he's pretty cool. Then something he said, it could be something like this. I will sit and think about it for hours. And what did I do? What was it? Did he mean? Oh God, I can't trust him now. And then I'll just tell him, look, I can't talk to you anymore. It's crazy. Your brain, it just doesn't function like normal people. And it's very frustrating for my kids because, especially when I wasn't medicated, I would obsess with them. I would constantly be calling them and constantly be on them and telling them they didn't love me, they didn't spend enough time with me, making them feel guilty. And they were like, we knew something was wrong with you, but my gosh, I really, really did obsess and overthink everything, and your emotions just take over, and you don't use logic. It's like yeah, it's not good. But anyways, that's just but I went through that until I was in my 40s, no lie. I kept getting diagnosed with depression so when I left my second husband, no, my third husband, sorry. When I left him, I had one of the most huge, probably one of the biggest manic episodes I've ever had. I left him for someone else after we'd been married. I just walked out. I mean, I just left him crying on the floor with no emotion. It was bad. I was ready to explode for a long time. I wasn't happy. We fought all the time. We weren't good for each other. We were just, but I thought I had to stay with him because, church, you say you can't get divorced. Well, anyway, telling a long story short, when I came down from that, because I was taking care of his 2 kids, they were living with us. I mean, they were in high school and stuff, but I don't know. It felt like guilt on the world just came crashing down like the weight. I could not. It was my first attempt at suicide. I took pills, and I ended up in the psych ward, and they diagnosed me with major depression because they'd never seen anything manic, and I didn't know what manic was. I mean, my God, I had no clue what that meant. I didn't know anything about it. These cars are loud. Anyways, so I go on, and I keep on having ups, downs. Just same old thing. Spending money like crazy when I go on spending sprees. I would just spend all my money on a phone or go take out a loan and get a phone. I mean, stupid stuff. Just really. And so anyways, this goes on. There was another time I was alone. It was our anniversary and my daughter was gone, and I took pills again. I took pills several times, and I don't know how many times I was in the psych ward in Owensboro, Kentucky, in the hospital, but he finally diagnosed me with depression and ADD. He put me on Vyvanse, and I believe it was Lexapro. Well, I was like bionic woman. My God, I thought I had found the miracle drug of all times. I was never asleep. The house was cleaner than it ever was. I was so manic, I was ready to fly. And I wasn't going to give that up. My God, it was like, where's this drug been all my life? Well, it wasn't supposed to do that. I mean, it's not supposed to. I mean, yeah, it does. And it makes you want to focus. Like, with my ADD, it's more like I can't, when I go to clean the house, I just go from this place to that place. I can't just say, okay, I'm gonna organize. It's hard for me to do that in my brain. And then Vyvanse did help that, but it absolutely flew me through the roof. And the antidepressants are not good for people with bipolar disorder because they can throw you into mania too. I was manic. Very all the time. It was just, I would stay up for days on nights, and then I'd sleep. And then my daughter she'd be scared because I'd be so angry. Oh God, it was, it felt so good. I wasn't going to tell, I was going to keep taking it as long as I could. So anyway, obviously I am ADD, but not good. ADD medicine sometimes just does not work especially if you're not on a mood stabilizer. I was not. I was on an antidepressant and it just made me manic as crazy, really manic. So anyway, I moved back to Evansville, and I had an episode, and I had a really bad episode. And I won't go into all the details because this is getting long again. But, the cops came, and I ran from them. I took a bunch of pills, and I should have been dead, really. Somebody had, God must have been, or the higher power, whatever it is, universe had his hand on me, because I don't know how I survived that. I was totally out of my head, and I was running from them, and they held to fighting them, and I never did that. My dad used to do that all the time, and my brother. But here I am, and I'm thinking I'm just getting crazier all the time. I actually got a guy, and my brother went with me into Southwestern Mental, and he said, this guy is an awesome guy. You need to just really open up to him, because he knew the guy from, because he had been going there for a while. he said he's a really good guy. And so all of the things that I was so embarrassed to talk about, the hypersexual, the suicide, the overspending, the leaving my husband, and it was for another woman, which I've never been attracted to women. When you are manic, I want to tell you this, if you're really manic, like I was, oh my gosh. I mean, it was like, I thought she was the answer to my everything. Like, oh God. And this person I would have never been attracted to if I wasn't manic. Never. It was like a presence almost. It was like a force. People describe it, even the psychiatrist said other people he had heard describe it as a magnet that you can't stop it. It's like you can't stop yourself. You want to, you're not supposed to be doing that, and you just I can't explain it unless you've been there. I know though afterwards it was the worst depression I've ever had, and I felt like a failure, and I felt so bad, and that was, like I said, the first time. I was with her for 4 years, and I was miserable. I cried all the time. I knew it was a mistake, but I didn't want to be alone. I was scared to be by myself. I'd beg her not to leave like an idiot, because she was psycho. I mean, she had a lot of problems herself. Then I got to this, you know what? You get to a point where you're not scared to be alone with your thoughts anymore. Like, that was my problem. I was alone with my thoughts. I had a house full of people. I had 4 kids, living with me, a husband. I had time to think about all my thoughts. When I was left alone and my son went to college, that's what triggered that big manic episode. Actually, my son left, and he left, and he went like 2-3 hours away to school, and I thought I'd die. God, I just went through this huge, horrible depression. I know that sounds stupid, but it happens. And then it triggered the manic episode because I did not love my husband. Knew I didn't love him. My son was gone. My son wasn't his, my son was around before he was, so it was this big bond, that we had, and it was bad depression. I couldn't hardly stand it. I couldn't hardly deal with it. And I know that sounds silly, but I'm sure other people have been through the same thing. It's a big change in your family dynamic whenever that happens. And especially when, your son was 5 years old when you married the guy and he was there first, and you kind of, lean on him. Anyway, yeah, it just, the manic episode, he saw me with her, and he just was like, there is something wrong with you, Mom. You are just not, you've never seen you act like this. I was way hypersexual. I was on, like, cloud 2000. Everybody knew I was acting weird. I was acting different. I was not me. But anyway, yeah, it was a bad decision. You don't. God, I had no clue. I never even really read about bipolar. Only thing I knew is I had a roommate that was bipolar, and she kicked me in the chest, and I thought she was really nuts. And then I thought, man, I can't, it's not me. But when I told the guy everything, he was like, you're bipolar. And I argued with him. I was like, no, I'm not bipolar. That can't be right. He said, everything you've told me is classic symptoms. You've got it. You're bipolar. There's just no doubt about it. So, they diagnosed me with bipolar 2, which is the kind where they don't think you have full-blown mania. Well, being that I was a ditz and didn't know what it was, I started reading, and I thought, hey, I've had psychotic episodes before. I've actually heard voices. You know what? I thought I heard God speaking to me before. I've seen visions. I have... Oh, yeah. There's no doubt I'm bipolar 1. But I let them... they said bipolar 2. They'd never seen anything but the depression side. So they put me on... Well, what was it? A mood stabilizer. Well, it was Lamictal. And they wanted to put me on Seroquel. My brother was on that, and he gained so much weight. It's an antipsychotic, and I didn't want it. I can't remember what else it was. I know it was Lamictal. I honestly can't remember the other thing. There was 2 things, I think. Or Klonopin. I know it was on Klonopin for anxiety.